had read that before about Steve Belichick, where Bill Belichick, fearing that he's not going to be one of the in-demand coaches next year, would take an interim-like job at North Carolina, but would only do so if he set his son up as the heir in waiting for whatever job he takes. In this case, Steve Belichick would then elevate to become the new head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels when and if Bill Belichick leaves to go to the NFL.
Which is just the most unbelievable, unhidden version of nepotism you will ever see in the world.
100%.
So Stephen Belichick worked on that Patriots staff, was never the guy in the defense. But this year, Stephen Belichick is up at the University of Washington. And I don't expect anybody in New York to have been watching the University of Washington. They were a college football playoff team last year. They lost their head coach. But that is where Stephen Belichick has now gone up and hit.
Right.
So the
head coach went to Florida State.
Yes.
DeBoer, right?
Yes.
I mean, not Florida State, to Alabama. DeBoer.
So the idea that Stephen Belichick now, to set himself up with a job, so he's not just buried somewhere as a defensive coordinator in college, as a next head coach would be Bill using his power to get his kid a job.
I almost don't even mind it.
I don't blame Bill for doing it at all.
I don't mind that, honestly, because it's college football, and college football has been bastardized to the point where it's not even recognizable anymore. I mean, think about who played in the SEC championship and the Big Ten championship and the ACC championship. By the way, all non-ACC, Big Ten, or SEC schools. And, like, do you really care? Like, is there a purity in the rivalries and the sanctity of what college football is supposed to be, or college sports for that matter?
It's not about the purity, though, but it's about a program where if Bill Belichick retires in 2 years, you're going to be forced to have his son coach.
His son might be great. His son might be the best recruiter you could ever imagine. Because that's what matters anymore. I was listening to Deion Sanders talk about this morning. And it was on some social site I saw. And he was talking about how everybody just recruits 20 players. He's like, I'm not recruiting 20 players. Because you know what? Half of those guys are going to be in the portal because we had redshirted them and they're not going to play.
True.
So I'm recruiting 10. And I hope 5 or 6 of them play. And if those guys play and help us win, then they'll be happy.
Well, the college landscape certainly
I have to worry about 3 or 4 guys maybe getting in the portal and leaving. So it's like it's a different mentality you have to take. And honestly, it's kind of a pro mentality. I think one of the things that Bill Belichick said, and he said this on Pat McAfee last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, I can't remember anymore, but he basically said, if I go to North Carolina, it'll be a factory, like a factory to the NFL. And by the way, if I'm a young kid and I'm thinking about choosing a school, and Bill Belichick's the coach, and he's telling me in 3 years, because you have to wait 3 years from your high school graduation, in 3 years, I'm basically guaranteed to walk right into the NFL and have all the knowledge I need, not have to deal with the learning curve that everybody else who's being coached by college football coaches has to go through. That might sway me. I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, look, I think North Carolina would be, I think Bill would be good there for 2 years. If Stephen Belichick was going to be a really good coach, he was already coaching with the Pats. His last name is Belichick.
You're stuck on the nepotism thing.
It's not even nepotism.
I'm talking about the Bill Belichick thing. Now, I don't know if Bill Belichick's 100% business. Right. Like these, 45-hour plus meetings just to go over minutia. I don't know if that's going to fly with 18 and 19-year-old kids, but like the 30,000-foot view of it, it kind of makes sense, even though it makes no sense.
But this brings me back to a worry I had.
Go ahead.
Okay? I'm going to tie this back to New York and the New York Football Giants.
Let's hear it.
Part of the reason that I have been so pro keeping Brian Dable and Joe Shane around is my fear is the Giants fire them. And because of Bill Belichick's love for this Giant organization,
and
because
now
of
availability,
Bill Belichick's history and family with the Maras,
it's hard not to get choked up about it.
It felt like, and with the Giants clearly in a spot where they're tired of being embarrassed and tired of being that, it felt like there was a lot of connecting dots that the alternative to not having Dable and Shane would be Bill Belichick ends up now with the New York Giants, which to me, knowing his age, and knowing that Bill Belichick, when he's in the NFL, as he was at the end with the Patriots, wasn't about, hey, some young GM come in and work. No. Bill is making the calls. And his draft process and record the past 5 to 7 years in the NFL has been a disaster with the New England Patriots. So I didn't want that. So when I hear Bill Belichick could be close to North Carolina, I'm rooting for this. I want him to go there because I want him off the board.
Right.
And if he is off the board and with North Carolina and dealing with his own nepotism garbage and whatever's going there,
you don't have to worry about it.
I have to be honest with the audience. I would be more open to the Giants making a regime change if Bill Belichick is in fact with North Carolina.
You really don't want Bill Belichick.
That is how badly I don't want him there, because I think he would screw the whole thing up. I think they might be stable and not embarrassing for 2 years.
Right.
But I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl in the next 2 years with Bill. And then, oh, by the way, look what he's trying to do at Washington. I'm not saying this would fly in the NFL.
Yeah.
But Bill Belichick's tentacles have been all over how many head coaching jobs. How many times does Josh McDaniels need a job?
Right.
Or Matt Patricia need a job? Or Eric Mangini need a job? Do I need Bill Belichick stabilizing this organization for 2 years and then turning to whoever, whether it's Mr. Mara, somebody else at that time, in 2 years, and going, hey, I did well for you. Trust, this is the guy you got to hire now. I don't want the organization being in bed with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. It does, because he's led us astray with Joe Judge.
Yeah, no thanks.
And so, but is he going to be a good coach? I think he'll be a good coach. In college. The question is, or with the Giants, the question is just how long it's going to last.
Right. He's not 65 now. He's 71. Yeah. It's a big difference.
Well, not even that. Like, how long until he wears out his welcome? The kid is different.
Right.
Like, the player is different now. And when you had an established dynasty, let's call it for what it actually was. It was one of the greatest dynasties in sports. You have an established dynasty like he had. You can get away with doing it your way.
Right.
But it's not his way anymore, even though it's still him. He's at a different spot. It doesn't carry over.
If you're a Giants fan that is pro getting rid of Dable and Shane, as Lugauer is, my guess is you're rooting for this North Carolina deal to happen. That's all I'm saying. It connects to the Giants. I'm telling you it does.
Right.
Yeah, I want no part of Belichick. I'd rather have 10 years of Joe Judge than 1 year Bill Belichick. And I mean that because I think the game has passed Bill by. I think we saw that at the end of his tenure with the Patriots. His style of coaching, his style of calling plays, kicking field goals, I think it just passed him by. He's the greatest of all time in my generation, but it's over. And there's a reason he's going to North Carolina. Nobody in the NFL wants to hire him. Think about how many coaching jobs were available last offseason. Think how many are going to be available. He's going to college. It's because nobody in the NFL wants to hire the guy.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. I hope that's what we're seeing. And I hope that this holdup is Bill not trying to entice NFL teams to go, before I agree to this deal, look, I'm close, hire me. And I hope that's not the Giants. 888-808-1019.